Shut up and sit down.
For our third and final trip this year to VIR, this is ChampCar iRacing Series Round 14 at VIR North. We've raced the South Course, we've raced the full layout. Now it's time for the North Course in the Volkswagen Jetta. This will be the last outing this year of the front-wheel drive touring car. That makes some people sad. It makes some other people potentially happy. But what we know is last time we used this car at Mid-Ohio, the racing was super, super close all hour long. And that's the same length of race we are heading into tonight as we bring you round 14 of the ChampCar iRacing Series live on HJBC. A championship hangs in the balance, could go all the way down to the wire. I'm David Haynes, joined by Devin Peters, and it's Michael Derby on production with all the cameras, replays, graphics, and everything making our broadcast possible. Welcome sim racers and welcome ChampCar members. Hope you enjoy the racing tonight. Devin, front-wheel drive car, diesel at VIR North. It's not a combination that gets a run that often, but it can be quite exciting from time to time.
Yeah, these cars are a good time. It really shows off precise driving, consistent driving, and what a great circuit to bring them to. I mean, VIR is an excellent track, and Oak Tree's the signature, but all the other good corners are at the other end of the track. So you get NASCAR, you get roller coaster, you get hog pen. Super good time, and these guys will be seeing them a whole bunch over the course of the next hour.
Absolutely, they will. So it's qualifying underway right now. It's an hour session. Got 6 minutes left. That means a lot of the best times will have already been set, but there'll be drivers pushing hard out there, trying to improve their qualifying. Passing can be difficult in this car. Everyone always so close, so evenly matched. Small margins to separate, especially when compared to the NC Mazda Miata that gets used in some other rounds, and also the street stock. Both of them maybe a potentially higher skill ceiling. This keeps everyone close together. The moment it is Mark McCormick with provisional pole, then Simon Foweather, Ian Giebler, Alex Albert, and Joshua Soto for our top 5 provisionally at the minute. Looking at 25 drivers. I was about to say 26, but there's one driver on that sheet who's not going to be taking to the green flag today.
Well, and a few, some really important names there in the top 5. Josh Soto showed up at the last round and laid a whooping on some of our series regulars. So it'll be interesting to see if he can adapt to this Volkswagen and show the same kind of pace that he did in the NC Miatas last time out. And he's played spoiler last time for Mark McCormick. McCormick, of course, in a tight points battle with Alex Albert, who's starting third. And he needs every single point that he can get. He's missed a few rounds this year, and drivers only get 4 drop weeks on the season. So he needs to make sure that this one counts. Otherwise, when they count everything up at the end of the season, he might not have all the points that he hopes to have.
Too early to call it now, but as you say, both drivers would love to take the win today. It would do a world of good for both of them and put them a step closer towards one of the valuable prizes on offer in ChampCar iRacing Series. First and foremost, we love having sim racers and ChampCar members together racing on iRacing. The community, the way it brings people together, and the weeknight fun is key to this championship, but also it is fiercely contested because our championship winner is going to get a free entry into a real-world, wheel-to-wheel ChampCar Endurance Series race in 2022. If they are a sim racer taking their first steps into the world of real-world racing, ChampCar will partner with them to find them a team and an event that they can race at. If they are an existing ChampCar member, will be credited a free entry to take their car or their team to a race of their choosing next season, next year, up to the value of $1,500. Nothing to be sneezed at. That goes quite a long way in the world of ChampCar as well, to getting you, your friends, on track for some real-world endurance racing. That's just one of 2 prizes this year, though, because for drivers who see the checkered flag and finish in, 12, a minimum of 12 of the 16 rounds, they also go into the draw for an equally valuable prize up to $1,500. So a free entry for our series points champion and a free entry drawn at random to one lucky other participant. No matter your skill level, no matter your sim racing experience, no reason to not show up. Give it a go. Rub shoulders with some fellow ChampCar members.
Yeah, it's a good way to meet some friends, and you know what they say, sometimes the best ability is availability, and we got that here. Pretty critical lap that unfolded while we were talking through things there. The cloud cover came in, and that makes a pretty big difference sometimes. And of course, just as I say that, Mark McCormick, who was pushing his way through Hogpen, goes wide and nearly rolls the thing, testing out the full extent of track limits at VIR. No guardrails out there in real life, but in the sim, keeps us from rolling out into sweet nothingness of the forest. But there was some fair movement there from a few drivers, albeit no one in the top 10, but we did see a lot of drivers get into the 39. So everyone from about 6th place on back to about 16th place all of a sudden has a lap time in the 39s. And timing your lap so that you get that perfect condition is really, really important in a car like this.
Like we said, finer margins, closer times than we typically see from the other 2 classes, cars that race in this championship. And I don't have the schedule immediately at hand. We've got 2 races left after this, one of them featuring the street stock, one of them featuring that NC Mazda Miata.
Barber on November 3rd with the Mazda Miata, and Sebring on November 17th with the street stock.
2 great tracks to round it out. Barber always pretty technical and some blind apexes there. And Sebring, well-known, famous, bit bumpy.
Too bumpy if you're a wuss in a prototype car, from what I hear. 20 seconds less. Most drivers out on their final lap. We're riding along here with Simon Foweather, seeing what he can put together.
Foweather, one of the drivers who was leading many laps at Long Beach earlier in the championship and then couldn't quite bring it home. Could this be his race? Don't think any wins yet in ChampCar iRacing series, but he did come oh so close to tasting that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he's had a couple really competitive finishes, particularly in this Jetta. It seems to suit his driving style, just never kind of setting the foot wrong. But you're right, he's been on the wrong side of some unlucky traffic a couple times, and we'll see if he can rectify that. It's a short track out here today. Only, what is it, about, one of these maps got to tell me, 2.25 miles. So these guys will more than likely be passing lap traffic pretty quickly out there and have to do a lot of overtaking all the way through.
Checkered flag is out on the session, everyone completing their laps, including Simon Foweather, who was not able to improve on that particular lap, but more practice, always more betterer. A few drivers out there still.
Ebeler, the last time by, actually managed to tie Alex Albert with a 6.81. iRacing actually times out to the 10,000th, so Alex Albert's got him pipped down there, but really showing off how tight these cars are.
Yep, indeed, both of them on a 138.681. Albert, somehow, fractionally quicker, is going to line up on the inside of the second row with Giebler on the outside, the way they run at the moment. Looking at whom else is out on track, and it's almost no one. I think we're about to lock in this qualifying. Lance Cameron, though, navigating the roller coaster. Not quite as fearsome of an attack from the north course compared to blasting down that long back straight and approaching at incredible speed, or at least somewhat frightening speed. The roller coaster, still a huge elevation change and a huge challenge to our drivers. What is Lance Cameron going to manage? Coming to the timing line, currently 23rd with a best of a 141.2, and he goes a 141.556, which doesn't move him up any spots because it was 0.3 slower than his best. So that is our qualifying done. Everyone has crossed the line. They're going to line up for rolling start behind a beautiful iRacing sedan pace car is what we're treated to today. This is the grid, though. Mark McCormick on pole. Well, that's not the grid. It's Mark McCormick on pole from Simon Foweather. They share the front row. Then Alex Albert and Ian Giebler for row 2. I'm reading off the iRacing simulator, and I promise you it's correct. Joshua Soto and Nick Love for row 3, and then row 4 is Andrew Kosick and Jay Sofianek. Behind them, Keith Carlson and Shane Cameron, and some motorsports enthusiasts out my window there as well, if you heard that or not. And then David Ward and Charles Kowalczyk, Mark Kruger and Clinton Ford, David Palermo and Aaron Thorpe. Kyle Smith is carrying one of our cameras tonight, so we might check in with him a little bit later. He's starting out of 17th alongside Neil Hancock, and then the remainder of the grid is Scott Grinnell and Lee Mullerman. Mullerman's qualified in 20th, but I don't believe he's in the session right now, so he won't be taking the start, to my knowledge. And then the last drivers with the qualifying time, Jared Cubitt, Benjamin Moody, Lance Cameron, Jonathan Patterson, and Gavin Sanders. Alex Cofford and Devin Peters are in the session, but no qualifying time for Alex Cofford. He still might start, and Devin Peters won't because he's here with me.
Undecided. I could still click the button. No, but should be a tight race. As you were going through the grid there, of course, top 6 in the 38s, the next 11 cars in the 39s, and then a few guys a little further back than that. But all the way through, the difference is consistency in this race.
And a 1-hour race with a fixed setup, there is going to be a semi-mandatory pit stop. Say semi-mandatory as in everyone's going to have to take one because they're not starting with enough fuel. At some point, they're going to have to make that VIR pit entry, drive underneath the hotel rooms as part of that paddock building, find their crew, get some fuel, but then who is going to take tyres, how many? That was such a huge talking point at Laguna Seca last time out. What an exciting race it gave us. A driver with a longer pit stop on newer tyres, hunting down a driver who had a much shorter run through the pit lane, but found their tyres getting away from them a little bit towards the end of the race. This is a different car, a very different car, at quite a different track, but the fundamentals of the strategy remain.
Yeah, and it's definitely a factor in these cars because it seems that what happens with these things is the tires kind of balloon up, they get a bunch of heat, and then they plateau. But those first 3, 4, 5 laps, while the tires are a little bit cooler, can be a big difference. And you can even get them to cool down without taking tires sometimes. So it's usually a little bit extra time to take the tires. And so finding the right balance of those different factors tends to be pretty critical in these races where, as we've really emphasized, the margins are so small between the guys at the top.
So 24 Volkswagen Jetters rolling behind the pace car on the formation lap for round 14 of the ChampCar iRacing series. This is the part where VIR North Course separates from the full layout and cuts across towards the roller coaster, and tough to pass other cars, tough to pass traffic through here. It's a roller coaster of its own. The corners, they keep coming, and there's sort of only one line through here, near flat for these cars, but would be a challenge to come across some traffic in this section of the lap, I think, Devin.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much one line as we see the iRacing sedan pulling away and the field beginning to bunch up. hard to take these cars too wide through Hogpen, if we're being honest. So the people that are making overtakes are going to have to really time their runs onto the front straightaway.
So McCormick in the red and white whammo car, your pole sitter on the inside lane, really, really backing them up. He is crawling. Now he puts the diesel power down. Now he's stretching the field out, coming towards the green flag for 60 minutes of VIR North ChampCar iRacing Series. They're almost single file as they start the race. Such was the jump that McCormick attempted. It's fanned out the leaders as they come down towards turn 1 for the first time, slamming on the brakes. You do get ABS in this car, but there's still just a little hint of a lockup as the road-going and not particularly race-tuned suspension for these cars has to do its first real racing pace work.
Yeah, and keeping the tires under these things can be a challenge sometimes. As we see a big cut there from Mostment.
Yeah, so Andrew Kosick with a bit of a moment. He's lost 3 positions from all of that. Now he finds himself in the minty machine, hung out wide a little bit, under attack, and he's going to almost do it again. Surely that's going to be a slowdown at that point of the S's. The stewards and the flaggers will be onto that one. He's going to lose 1-2 positions, and big move in front of him as well.
Yeah, we said they couldn't go through too wide through here, and Kosick's trying to prove us wrong, I think, on this first lap. Not exactly how he wanted it to go. He's down about 5 positions already, but we'll see if he's able to clean it up a little bit as we continue on. Yeah,
so first, second, and third still running as they qualify. Joshua Soto's up into 4th. Nick Love is up into 5th because Ian Giebler's dropped down into 6th. That's the change at the front, and these laps do come around pretty quick on this truncated version of Virginia International Raceway. Lap 1 in the books now. Second and third, super, super close. Your leader almost getting away. What does Albert do? He's pushing along Simon Foweather down towards turn 1 before he tries to outbrake him around the outside.
And Joshua Soto's licking his chops.
Bit of grass on the exit there as well sent Albert into just a teeny bit of movement. Front wheel drive, just keep the throttle pinned and it straightens itself out, but it certainly wasn't the fastest way off that corner. He has to drop back in a line, and as you say, Foweather, Albert, Soto, all within that many car lengths of each other.
And keep an eye on the vertical movement on these cars. When they hit these curves, this suspension is not exactly race tuned, you could say, and they will pogo stick along until the suspension finally gets dampened and quieted down. But yeah, it's really critical to keep those drive wheels on the ground in these cars if you want to make some lap time. So big curb strikes, that's not helping anyone out.
Yeah, the suspension not super stiff, but what it is not particularly damped either. They bounce and they bounce and they pogo. Typically, your front wheel drive way of doing things is a pretty stiff rear, pretty soft front. It's pretty soft all around with the sort of factory Volkswagen Jetta road going suspension. Almost another lap in the books, and as you can see, your top 6 or so within 2.5 seconds at the minute. Albert not close enough to bump Foweather this time, but Foweather is a little closer to McCormick, and they'll all be trying to get that little slipstream for all it's worth as they head down towards turn 1. Simon Foweather's end of straight speed, 1.5, maybe 2 miles an hour faster than McCormick. Nothing drastic, but just enough to close up 1/10 of a second here, 1/10 of a second there, and keep him in touch with the leader. Make it difficult for McCormick to break away at this point of the race.
Yeah, and if you're McCormick, you're really looking for that opportunity to find a little bit, because if you can break the draft, it can make a big difference in this car.
And that's part of where the pit strategy might come into play as well. We said it's a fixed setup, means everyone's starting with about 2 gallons of diesel, give or take that. It's entirely possible, end of lap 1, to come into the pit lane and put the fuel in to get you to the end. This is a very economical car. They're just starting with a small amount. You can make a lap 1 pit stop, still make it to the end. Now, I don't think anyone in our top 5 or 6 is thinking about that, but it is a very, very broad strategy window. Do you want to go as long as you can in the pack? Do you want to break out and do something differently? And particularly, if you're the leader, it's an even more difficult decision to make. Do you want to pit early and end up in traffic but not tow the rest around, Devon?
Moment there for Nicholas Love on the entry to roller coaster. He got those rear tires into the grass, and as he was braking and threw it in nearly backwards into the top of the roller coaster there, but managed to gather it up and keeps the thing pointed the right way. Really forgiving car when it comes to sort of catching mistakes like that, though it does cost you time.
It's front-wheel drive, it's torquey, and it has ABS as well. So all of those make it difficult to get into big trouble, but still easy to make a mistake that costs you time out on track. Speaking of that time out on track,
looking a little further down the field, I've seen some nice battles between Kyle Smith and Alex Cofford, and it looks like Scott Grinnell's car. 3 of them went about 3 wide into the first turn there, and now they're 2 wide coming into the left hook here. Scott Grinnell's trying to defend Alex Cofford, who's trying to make a move around the outside here. Diving for the outside, and we got that 6th car of Benjamin Moody right behind him too. Cofford gets the advantage here through the double right-hander and manages to clear it. Nicely done.
Yeah, Cofford, no qualifying time, started right at the back, so he's plus 7 positions at the moment. Just battled with Scott Grinnell there, trying to catch up to Kyle Smith. I'm fiending for another dose of Smith Cam as the battle starts to rage over 18th and 19th, and Kyle Smith actually doing well to stay in contact with those other cars in front. They're now within a second of Palermo and Warden and Kosick in the battle up to 15th. That's the view on board with Kyle Smith as he's racing in VR today and got the virtual mirror on, and it is full of Alex Coffard, and Alex Coffard is full of oversteer as he catches some of the grass, gets the wrong side of the curb through the hog pen, and is going to drop back, ease the pressure off Kyle Smith.
Yeah, if you've never had the opportunity to do iRacing in VR, you're getting a sample here. It is about as immersive as you can get. The only thing that I think they could do better is shrink down the field of view a bit, because I can't see that much out of my helmet.
It's always... Yeah, you need some bigger black bars across the top and the bottom, maybe. But when you view the virtual reality on a screen, it always looks wider than it feels with the headset on, even with some of the more modern headsets. You're kind of cursing their field of view as well. So not a lot of change up front, except for that little mistake we mentioned for Nick Love, I think has just caused him to drop away from the top 3. So it's 3 cars battling for the lead, and then 3 battling over 4th. So really, there's not a whole lot in it just yet. We said these Jettas almost drive a little bit like a scale electric slot car or something. So tough to find any difference. And whoa, Kyle Smith has just turned a guy.
Yeah, we actually, while we were watching that battle with Kyle Smith, Josh Soto missed Hogpen on the exit of the last lap and went and cut about a half acre of grass outside the front straightaway, kept his foot in it the whole time, and rejoined the track down about, I think he lost, 2.5 seconds, taking the very long way through there last time by. And so that's how he ended up in 6th place. But all that top 6 still more or less glued together.
Good update. And we did catch the replay of exactly how Kyle Smith got himself into a bit of a sticky situation with David Palermo there. That right-hander that cuts out the climbing S's and sends you onto the connecting road back across. And Kyle Smith ran up a little wider. The track starts to go to the left, and he just had his nose in there a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, looks like we got some more action back here at the left hook. Jay Safinek is battling away with Clinton Ford and Charles Kowalczyk and Keith Carlson at the head of them all, maybe forming a bit of a truly train, driving a little slow through there that time by. Neil Hancock in the orange car also looking interested in the action here as they come into that cutoff that you were just talking about. Cutoff here into the Patriot course is a bit of a challenge. This part of the course was designed more so for training. They actually do a lot of law enforcement driving schools on this sort of thing on this part of the course, and so really only intended for one lane wide. And they get down to one wide as they make their way through. And Neil Hancock makes up a couple positions there, probably hoping to make some more at the rate he's moving through the field, up 8 positions since the start of the race already.
Yeah, I think we just caught him getting around Jay Safinek, and they are all just lining up behind Keith Carlson at the moment. Very consistent finisher so far this year, Carlson, and it kind of shows in the points standings. It snuck his way onto the podium a fair whack of times as well.
Yeah, he's
defending a little bit against Kowalczyk here, and that sent him just a little bit wide, and they are really packed up in this race. Carlson on some more defensive lines, sort of a car width blocking the inside here, and Kowalczyk would really like to get down the inside when he can, and this could be the opportunity because he's off the grass, trying to be careful on the rejoin. How do you hold on to that position? A little cautious maybe from Kowalczyk?
Well, I think you might get a black flag for that one in real life. Neil Hancock goes all 4 off and all 4 off again on the exit. If you take that S wide enough, you don't get a course cut if you miss the curve by enough, and these guys are really trying that out. So they must be used to the paved runoff that's there in the real world these days.
That's the message. If you're going to fail, make sure you fail spectacularly, and then people will feel sorry for you.
Hancock loses a spot to Mark Kruger through all that drama. Cossack and Shane Cameron are 2 wide through Roller Coaster, heading down towards Hogpen. And Shane Cameron takes the the smart move here. 45 minutes to go, and decides he doesn't need to go 2 wide through there. Hard start for him, down 8 positions since the start of the race.
There's a pretty big dent on the back for Shane Cameron as well. So I wonder if he had a problem. Maybe someone helped him off the racing line at some point.
And running that Boba Fett scheme. lots of funny paint jobs for
the rear
car.
window says Volkswagen Feta, and it's like, oh, it's pretty funny. Good pun.
Yeah, I think my favorite's the clean diesel car, but
Volkswagen Jetta rounds do seem to be the funny livery round.
Cameron gets a nice run this time. Let's see if we can line something up.
Yeah, trying to attack Thorpe in the green machine.
Just check back in on the front of the field. Alex Albert looks like he's trying to make a move on Simon Foweather. And they straighten back out to 1 wide, but Alex Albert was right up the inside of Foweather, that time into Roller Coaster. And I gotta have to think that it's got something to do with the fact that Mark McCormick has made nearly a 1-second lead on the 2 of them through this lap, running a 38.9 last time by, just a few tenths off his qualifying time.
Yeah, first time in the race that anyone stretched out their lead to more than a second. Giebler looking down the inside of Love. Albert still looking to push Foweather along, and as all that happens, Mark McCormick with a 1.2 second lead. Doesn't sound like much, isn't much, and here's Albert looking down the inside, going to make contact, both of them sideways. Albert floors the throttle, pulls it the right way around, but Simon Foweather is back to 6th place.
Tough. And that's a tough corner to take 2 wide, but it looked like Foweather gave him no room there and made some contact with them as they were both heading for the apex.
So It's both the middle half spin, costs 2 spots to Albert, costs even more to Simon Foweather.
And you got to think at this point, those guys are just waiting for a mistake now if they want to make some ground up to Mark McCormick, because it's hard to close that gap, even with a draft.
Yeah, 2.3 seconds from McCormick to Love in second. Giebler gets a couple spots back that he had lost earlier, and he's up into third.
Nick Love, really the benefactor there, qualifies sixth, and he's up in second. Ooh, 2 wheels off for Giebler. Alex Albert will take that one easily.
So easily done at the hog pen there, isn't it? Common mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that off-camera exit, it just catches you out. You feel like you got curb, and then all of a sudden you don't.
So miraculously, for ChampCar iRacing Series, 15 minutes in now, and no one has used pit lane. This car's a bit of a tank, and the Armco and the guardrails a bit further away here than they have been at some other tracks. You've got plenty of room, wide open spaces at VIR. So everyone who started still running without any problems. I wonder when we're going to see strategically the first pit stop.
Yeah, I gotta wonder if maybe some of these guys that are backing off a little bit are starting to think about, how are we going to make that gap up on Mark McCormick? And if a fresh set of tires can do that, then maybe that's the move,
And then conversely, everyone's still running without any dramas. You make a pit stop, what's the pit lane transit time going to be? 20 seconds to 30 seconds. If you're any of the leaders, that puts you right down into 20th place or so, and you'll just find yourself mired in traffic. So it's a sort of no-win situation for second and third and fourth and fifth. And for Mark McCormick, I'm sure he's happy to be just lapping up all of the clean track, all the clean space, until eventually he might start catching a little bit of lapped traffic. First driver to get to might be Jonathan Patterson in 24th, but with 1 minute 39 laps, Jonathan Patterson's only 45 seconds off the lead. That means he's still a further 50 seconds from being caught to be off the lead lap. So there's nearly a minute of empty track in front of Mark McCormick at the moment, and I think he's loving it.
Yeah, well, and the way it's shaken out, every single driver from 9th right back to 16th is right in that 19 to 20 second window, and so you're going to have to drive past every single one of them if you pit at this point, which, as we've seen, it's hard to overtake in this thing. That's not a winning proposition, I got to think.
Agree with you on that one. So just toughing it out until they see some other drivers pit might be the strategy for everyone in the top 5 here. And what a great battle that is, like you said, from sort of 9th back. I spot 7 cars in 3 seconds in this just middle of the pack.
Yeah, Mark Kruger just put a real nice move up the inside of Clinton Ford, though, but Clinton Ford's fighting back. They're proving me wrong. 2 wide through the Patriot course. And Clinton Ford running that Castrol WRC livery. Good stuff.
Wish he had a cheaty turbocharger. I'm sure that's what he'd love to have right now.
He could use the questionable intake manifold, that's for sure.
I thought these Volkswagen TDIs were fitted with that as factory.
Who knows?
Oh, that's the exhaust manifolds. Yeah, sorry.
Meanwhile, we're seeing
Foweather on the pit lane, first pit caller. So he's decided to do something different here after that contact and that position's lost, and I think he was in a bit of a no man's land, out of touch with the top 5, just sort of on his own, lonesome in 6th. So he's taking tires. Clearly that's the strategy here, is to do something different, try to make an undercut.
And he might very well have been far enough back that he could make this kind of work. Interesting to see how much time he's spending on pit lane, though. Looks like all in, 36 and a half seconds?
Yep, that's what I see. 21 seconds of service. Was it dependent on the tyre change, or was it dependent on the fueling? Again, it's sort of bit of this, bit of that on the pit stop, because they don't refuel quickly, but they don't need much diesel because they are super economical. So exactly how long the fueling takes is like, well, you don't need much, but it doesn't fuel quickly either, so that sort of balances out to maybe 20 seconds-ish or so. Definitely saw the left and the right-hand side of the car up on the jack, so he'll be hoping to just put in some blazing laps for 5 or 10 minutes here and maybe undercut the top 5 as track warms up a little bit and their tires will be roasting and toasting for those top 5. It's sort of factory suspension, but it's also factory, so it's a factory sort of camber and toe, etc. They really build up heat on the front tires in this car.
Mm-hmm. And with the suspension being as soft as it is, the puffs of smoke you're seeing are actually the inside rear tires locking up. So not a lot of load on those and not a lot of heat. Alex Albert getting squished to the outside here.
Yeah, inside or outside of that left-hander doesn't seem to be treating him so nicely. Love is still going to hold on to second in the Blues Brothers mobile. Giebler's right with them. Joshua Soto, I think, has also been able to close over this recent couple laps, and some drivers have reacted to the faux weather pit stop. We've got Kosick, Mark Kruger, and Clinton Ford all on the lane right now. Similar pit stop times for Kosick and Kruger. Clinton Ford's having a long one. I don't know if that's he's taken on board too much fuel, or maybe he was caught speeding on pit entry. They take that very seriously.
Yeah, easy to do here. Alex Albert making a move into the top of the roller coaster, up the inside. Manages to make it stick contact, but both guys stay on the track. Nicholas Love's going to pay the price.
Albert, with the elbows out today, did make the contact there to just claim the inside. So Albert threw in a second. Giebler then also came through, and he's up in a third. Nick Love still on the back foot with Joshua Soto right at his rear bumper. Now these guys are going to pit. Soto is at the rear bumper, pushing Nick Love back up towards Giebler and Albert. Soto not really in this championship fight, whereas everyone else in this pack, well, Albert wants to win for those points, but everyone else definitely wants to see the checkered flag. Giebler and Love want to be in the draw for that other free entry.
The black car on the inside there is Lance Cameron. He's a lap down, and these guys are struggling to navigate around him. Like we said, the margins are small in this car, and Lance isn't making it easy on him.
Giebler has to duke to the inside. Next, around the outside. Oh, Love, more contact to his right front fender, and he loses out to Soto. Soto's got to be next to try to get around Lance Cameron.
It's tough, but there's not a lot of lines to there, especially in this car.
Soto diving up the inside, not close enough to get around Lance Cameron just yet either. So we've had 5 cars pit. Lance Cameron, one of them, and that's what's put him in range to go a lap down here. Advisory, blue flags waving, and Soto is going to have to send it down the inside of the roller coaster, or at least look to it, and he's going to force the issue here. And eventually he's going to get through. Nick Love, his second time the charm on this one. He's trying to look for some way at hog pen here.
Yeah, and that's a real tough move to make in the real world and in the sim. Got to be real brave, but it looks like he got a pretty good run here, and Cameron is pushing pretty wide. Love is diving for the pit lane, though, and he's going to brake hard. I wonder if he took some damage in that contact.
I think he might just be frustrated overall. He was holding on to second place for a good long time, and then some contact from Alex Albert, some contact from Lance Cameron. He loses some spots, and then he still couldn't quite get around Lance Cameron as quickly as he wanted. So he's on pit lane, and you know what I don't see is that car going up on Jack's either side. So how much time is this fuel-only pit stop going to take Love in comparison to faux weather, who pitted a couple laps ago, 3 laps ago, for new tyres trying to undercut him? 19.2 seconds of fuel for Love was 21 seconds for tyres. I think it's costing you an extra 2 seconds to change tyres. Is that going to be worth it in this car?
It's hard to say. But he is going to get some of the benefit back from the tires cooling off just from sitting there on pit lane. So, it'll really depend, I think, on what the driver can do to get the most out of these tires on the first few laps. And knowing Nick Love, he's going to be racing with a little bit of fire under his seat after that unlucky streak for him.
Despite all of that, he's come out of pit lane still 5 seconds ahead of Faux Weather. So the traffic or the undercut or whatever has not worked so well for Faux Weather. It's been a quick stop for Love. Keep an eye on if that gap changes much at all. But Mark McCormick out to a 4.5 second lead now. Just keeps on advancing. Albert and Giebel are close for second and third. And then a gap to Soto, who I think probably lost most of that time trying to get through the traffic.
Yeah, I got held up by Cameron a bit there, and he's hoping that Giebler's move on Alex Albert, if and when it comes, is going to slow them both up and move them back towards him. Meanwhile, Mark McCormick driving away, 4.5 second lead at this point.
Exciting time to be a Cameron, because Shane Cameron in 7th just stretched his legs on Jay Safirnek, the lap just gone, but Alex Coffard already plus 17 positions in this race, bearing down on the both of them.
Yeah, Coffard is in take no prisoners mode, and he's been racing hard and quick. 39.2 is best so far, but he's been consistent around there, which is more than a lot of the rest of the field can say. That's as quick as some of the leaders are doing right now.
Alex Coffard thought about looking for the inside at this right-hander to make it work, and he's going to get big launch up the hill. But I heard a rumour Alex Albert might be looking for pit lane at the end of this lap.
Listening to the pit radios, are you?
I got my scanner tuned to every damn frequency I can find around VIR, and it tells no lies. Albert on pit lane. Giebler continues through into second place. Soto definitely continued. Will anyone else react to Albert's strategy here? I think Albert's kind of maybe thinking of reacting to Love and Faux Weather. So he hits the pit stall, and there's a little bit of jack and tyre action going on. In fact, he'd be right underneath the commentary position if we were at VIR Realsies.
You're right about that.
You and I have both been there.
Yep.
It's air conditioned and it's got the best Wi-Fi in the whole paddock.
It's the place to be. And no tires, but he ends up stationary for a half second longer than Nick Love was, and a little bit slower overall in the pit lane. So we'll have to see where he ends up, just up the road from Nick Love. So maybe this undercut strategy isn't quite paying off the way we expected it to. Whether it's the lack of drafting partners, or maybe just the odd bit of traffic that's slowing these guys down. It seems to be a struggle for them once they get back on track.
Yeah, I haven't seen any, surprising big gains from early pit stoppers. Faux Weather not making any progress on Love. Love not making much progress on Alex Albert.
Mark McCormick in the lane this time by. He's reacting. And
yeah.
Giebler stays out. Soto stays out.
Pole sitter and leader in.
We'll note Giebler does have Jared Cubitt and David Palermo ahead of them. The two of them have been battling back and forth a fair bit, and Palermo nearly sticks it all the way off into the grass in turn one. So that's a position for Giebler, but he's going to have to work for some of the other ones coming up.
Might have influenced the pit call from McCormick as he saw how tough the traffic can be, and he's gone and pitted early. Neil Hancock and David Warden have also pitted.
Yeah, and Alex Albert crosses the start-finish line, and doesn't seem to have gained much on Mark McCormick there, if anything.
Nope. So it comes down to what kind of a time is Ian Giebler having with this traffic. He's had to work in the first half of the lap so far.
And there are several lappers just up ahead of them. Aaron Thorpe, the green car in front of Mark McCormick. And there's tons. There's lots and lots of traffic. They're all mixed up out there right now.
I think half the reason Joshua Soto has caught Ian Giebler is how much time Giebler lost with some of that traffic. So it's, tough to make moves for position, but then equally that makes it tough to make moves to put a car a lap down if they're potentially in your way. What are these two going to do? This looks like pit lane for Giebler. Soto following him in as well. Soto a bit more aggressive towards the pit lane speed limiter cone, and they're side by side in the fast lane and the slow lane looking for their crews. These guys qualified up front, so they're going to be down towards the pit exit end. Soto actually has to sort of roll out of it to slot in behind. Both of them hit their crews at about the same time. They are going to be racing to complete this work.
Man, I need iRacing to render the pit crew for the Jettas. Come on.
What would it look like for these Jettas? Two dudes with mismatched shoes and fire suits?
Mark McCormick goes by.
Giebler a whisker faster, but both of them look like they took some tires. So where did Giebler and Soto
coming by on the
out?
outside. This is for position.
Nick Love at speed is going to get past Soto. He's going to come around the outside of Giebler, and the two of them are side by side on the exit of turn one. The inside is going to end up for Nick Love with the next two left-handers, but we've seen this end in tears before.
And Giebler gives gives Love a little bit more room. Goes 2 tires off. And Soto's making his move up the inside of NASCAR. Oh, big contact there.
Yeah, solid hip check. Soto moves in front. I don't think there was too much malicious in that, but they were super close on that pit exit with Nick Love, and Giebler loses out, couldn't hold the inside to Love, and then Soto threw it down the inside of NASCAR and left hook, and has gotten ahead of him.
Wow.
So the cars that have pitted, it's McCormick, 6 seconds clear of Albert. Albert now, nearly 5 seconds clear of Nick Love, and then comes Soto and Giebler. So just the timing of catching some of that traffic between when Albert pitted and when Soto and Giebler pitted has made a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Lots of drivers choosing the pit lane this time by Jay Sophianex, Alex Crawford, Shane Cameron, Keith Carlson, all in pit lane as the leaders come by.
It is busy action on pit lane. Only driver yet to stop now is Jonathan Patterson, but it could be his turn at the end of this lap, for all we know. Seeing as 4 or 5 cars just all pitted together on this one.
Does seem like a lot of folks are opting to pit around now. I wonder if that tank is starting to go dry after the starting fuel. Sure enough, Patterson hits the pit lane.
So with everyone through pit lane once, as expected, recapping the top 10, Mark McCormick leads from Alex Albert, had 2 key championship rivals running first and second right now. Then we've got Love completing the podium as they run at the moment, but he's in very close company with Joshua Soto, who's looked pretty racy so far today, especially since that pit stop. Got Giebler in 5th, Simon Foweather back in 6th, Keith Carlson trucking along in 7th, in front of Charles Kowalczyk. Alex Coffard plus 17 positions into 9th now that everyone's made their pit stops and it's shuffled through. And Shane Cameron steadfastly holding the last spot in the top 10. Everyone who took the green flag still running here after more than half an hour at VIR.
It's really good stuff out here. Enjoying this on board with Josh Soto as he puts some pressure on Nick Love ahead of him.
Good mix of drivers from around the country, and have got any north of the border today? Not that I can see, actually.
One that registered but didn't make the start, Gavin Sanders. But outside of that, no one on the track today.
Super close here between Love and Soto for the final podium position. Almost a little rub across the bumper from Soto before he looks down the inside at turn 1. And, is he going to make a little bit of contact with Love? He's not, and they are going to race side by side. Love in a similar position to where he was not long ago, trying to hold this inside at NASCAR in left hook. Crossing over under doesn't quite work for Josh Soto. And as they keep this up, Giebler and Foweather are battling just 2.5 seconds behind this as well. You can see them in the rear of picture sometimes as it pans across. If this gets a little feisty, they could catch as well in a 4-way battle for the final podium spots. Soto's looking racy. He's looking pretty quick, and he clearly wants by. He had some overlap, but backed out of it. Where is he going to be able to make this move? Into the roller coaster, perhaps?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And I've felt like Soto before, being in a Miata, racing out there. A lot of times the faster guys beat you on the straight, and then you're beating them in the corners, and that's kind of how it feels right now. Same cars, but Soto keeps having just about enough for a run down into the corner.
So, not space to attack into the roller coaster, and he's going to have to close a fair chunk through Hogpen to attack into turn 1 here. Hogpen does seem to be one of the corners where you do see a difference, one driver to another. Some drivers have really got it made as they leap across the curb at the apex of the right-hander, and the car settles well and they take off and jet down the straight, and others just seem to struggle with the pogo a little more. There's other places like through the middle of the lap where it seems like everyone is a slot car on the same line doing the same pace. Down into turn 1, a difference of lines here as Nick Love goes in a little deep.
Does seem like Josh has the advantage through the first half of the lap.
Soto definitely took tyres at that pit stop, by the way, and I don't think Love did. And it's not a huge amount of difference. You know, it's all about the tyre temperature. Once they hit those high tyre temperatures, they plateau and everyone's basically driving with the same. But there could still be just a fraction of an advantage in terms of stopping the car, turning the car, and then getting that power on just a little bit earlier. It's those fronts, particularly that front left, that's just got to be in a lot of pain on this car around this track.
Well, and you can see behind them, getting closer and closer, Giebler and Foweather. That might also explain some of Josh Soto's sudden passiveness, because last time by, they were nearly a full second slower than the guys in 5th and 6th place.
A lot of that's got to be from going side by side in the first sector as well. Not quicker for anyone. See what this lap time looks like in a bit, but they should be doing, low 139s, and last lap for Soto a 140.444. About a second off what you would expect. And we say it, a second is a long time in these cars. Everything feels like a long time in these cars, but given that, 2 seconds covered basically the whole top 2/3 of the field. Race pace, a second is a lot of time. Soto's closing big time. Love holding it to the right-hand side of the circuit to defend the inside. They ought to be about level by the time they get to the braking zone. And they are. Soto, newer tyres, brakes deeper around the outside, tries to squeeze Love a little bit, but then he runs a little wide on the exit, almost catches some of the grass, probably had to just hop out of the throttle. Love's going to try to swoop around the outside here, but it's going to be tough to do. Soto throws it down the inside. Love still strong around the outside, and Soto can't do anything about it, and this just invites Foweather and Giebler to join the party. And did Foweather overtake Giebler in the last couple laps? Because I thought Giebler came out of the pit lane in front.
You might very well be right about that. I think that actually happened in turn number 1 last time by. But I was just looking at Soto's line there into left hook, and man, he slowed down to avoid contact there, and it's a good thing he did, because he had to get down to nearly 40 miles an hour normal speed through there, 65, to try and avoid contact. So that was really, really tight stuff, and got to wonder how many more times Soto's going to be willing to, be the bigger man in this.
Last lap, Simon Foweather was the second fastest driver on the track. He was faster than Albert and McCormick out front. So that's definitely one of the things that's going to close him up towards Love and Soto. But the fastest driver with a 39 flat was Alex Coffard, and he's starting to almost close up on Keith Carlson. There's quite a lot of time still to go there, but he's looking for one more spot in his last to first challenge. He's not going to make it to first, but with no qualifying time, because he works a little bit later than some others. Arrived just in time to take the grid and try to race his way forward in ChampCar iRacing Series. Love and Soto both pretty deep into turn one, and if Foweather can be tidy, he can take more time out of them on this lap.
Yeah, he's not only making up time, he's just starting to gap Ian Giebler behind him. Really, really clean. This is the kind of driving that we know Simon Foweather's capable of.
The onboard, he's got a beautiful blue interior. He's got whatever the transmission is in these things. Is it a DSG box?
It sure looks like it.
Semi-auto of some kind. I know the shifts are pretty quick.
It does look like it's just sitting there, to be honest. This car, for those who don't know the sim that well, is one of the originalist of original cars. So some of these models are pretty simplistic.
Back before Ferrari wanted to sign licensing agreements, Volkswagen Jetta TDI Cup said, "What? Someone sent us an email? I didn't know anyone knew we existed."
Get them a car right away. Sure enough. 20 minutes to go this time by. Nick Love still holding on.
Did he catch any traffic? Because his pace has started to fade. He's back into the 140s.
He hasn't caught any traffic, but he did have a bit of a scruffy trip through the Patriot course that time.
That'd do it. Alex Albert's still 7 seconds back away from him with only 12 laps to go, and it gets tough to find the margins to claw back a gap like that in the last third of this race.
McCormick will be coming up on some lap traffic, though, here right away. Lance Cameron, who, if you recall, raced the leaders pretty hard last time by, is in a bit of a battle with Jared Cubitt, who's been himself involved in some snafus with the leaders in previous races. So this will be a pretty critical bit of overtaking that McCormick is about to embark on. And, oh, what's that? They're racing with each other. So good luck, Mark.
Indeed. Oh, Cameron down the inside of Cubitt. He's going to get in front, and that puts Cubitt back into 24th. Cameron up into 23rd, and here comes race leader past Cubitt. Now it still needs to line up. Cameron's way off in the grass, and and he spun, and that's going to put him back into last place. Oh,
they are. Mark McCormick is so lucky that the track is cambered away there, because if that track's cambered the other way, Lance comes flying across the track right in front of Mark McCormick. Another lapper here ahead of him. This is David Palermo.
Actually, Clinton Ford is pitted in, so now he's in 24th. He's gone for a second stop. I wonder if he just didn't take enough fuel the first time around, because it was just 4 seconds stationary for Clinton Ford. Like I say, awesome that everyone who started the race is still running in the race this deep in. This could be our first no retirements race.
Could very well be. Alex Albert up to, now that you've jinxed it though, of course, find some wood, knock on it.
Does this IKEA laminate desk count?
Yeah, we'll say yes. David Palermo lets Mark McCormick by that time down the straight. And now it's Alex Albert's turn. He's gotten by Lance Cameron, and he's going to be lining up Jared Cubitt shortly.
Following the line and carrying the rhythm all the way through across to the braking zone of Roller Coaster. And then once you get to the apex of Roller Coaster, it's the same as the full course, all the way down through the hog pen and then onto the start finish line. Through hog pen he goes now, getting plenty of airtime. If you were a well-placed photographer, you'd have a good shot of Volkswagen Jetta TDI looking exciting for the first time ever in that product line category.
Alex Crawford has just made a move on Shane Cameron, but Shane Cameron is glued to his rear bumper. And of course, as I mentioned it, Cameron takes too much curb through Hogpen and sends 2 tires off on the exit and loses any hope of a battle there.
Plus 18 for Alex Crawford. Now that he's caught and gotten around Shane Cameron, it's not... well, no, actually, I think Cameron might have almost caught him. Carlson for 7th is the next car up the track.
I was going to say, the only other battle that I'm seeing on track right now that's got anything to it is this one between Neil Hancock, Mark Kruger, and David Warden. They're squabbling over 13th place. Lucky number 13 for them.
Yeah, 3-way scrap right in the meat and potatoes of the field, in the mid-pack. And hey, okay, this... I'll unwind my jinx, because what I'm saying is everyone who started the race has completed at least 50% of the race laps. That counts
Everyone
as a
gets an
finish.
injury.
That counts as a finish. So, yeah, that's 24 drivers, one step closer to potentially winning a free entry, and a valuable free entry at that, for the 2022 ChampCar Endurance Series, where some of the calendar dates have already been released on the forum in that provisional calendar. More announced. In fact, I think the date for Laguna Seca got announced in the last week as well. So exciting developments on that calendar front. Never count your chickens too early, but some drivers, at least, well, 2 drivers from this season are going to have to look at that calendar and go, I'll have that one, please. Like picking from a very fancy menu.
Absolutely. It's a good way to do it. I could use me one of these prizes. Back at the front, the battle between Nick Love and Joshua Soto is heating up. Josh Soto is now glued to the bumper of Nick Love.
They look pretty close together, and the battling duo behind Foweather and Giebler haven't made a whole lot of progress. In fact, Giebler's almost caught the draft of Simon Foweather again, so that battle can resume here between 3rd and 4th. They're not under as much pressure from Foweather catching them as they were maybe a couple laps ago. And of course, time ever ticking down, the lap count remaining ticking down. 8 to go for the leader this time. This is one of the shorter tracks that we go to. Of course, VIR South earlier in the year, even shorter than this. Laguna Seca, not that long, but Sebring to close out the year is probably almost definitely going to be a 2-minute plus lap time.
Yeah, even with those Hardy V8 engines pushing things along, it'll be a real challenge for the drivers there, because those cars are unstable at the best of times. So getting them hooked up and churning on that rough surface is always it's always a fun race to watch for sure. Riding on board with Kyle Smith here as he starts to breathe down the neck of Andrew Kosick in that
more than a
car.
second quicker last lap around as well. He's bearing down on Kosick.
And Kosick's really struggled with his consistency in this race. A fast qualifying time, 39.2, put him just outside of the top 5. And then sure enough, a little bit loose that time through Hogpen, and gives up some time. We'll see what Kyle Smith's gap is this time by.
You know what I love from this VR onboard is that we are tracking where Kyle Smith is looking. So we not only see what he's doing, but we see what he's thinking as well. I don't know what's up top on his VR display, but you can tell when he's looking in the mirror. You can tell when he's looking at the relative box to get a timing update. You can tell when he's looking for the apex of turn 1, etc. So you get a good idea. Not only does it look awesome tracking the driver's eye line and view, but it can give you a good bit of information as well, exactly what he's thinking in that moment.
I got to think that coming down the front straightaway when things point up, he might be releasing the seal on the VR, because it can get a little bit warm underneath there once in a while. So maybe he's tilting the lens up away to get a little bit of fresh air in and then letting it snip back down while he's going in a straight line.
He's not going to have an overlay of fuel consumption or something that we can't see, will he?
It's possible.
We can see his Twitch chat, I think, as an overlay in VR there.
Yeah, checking out all the friends.
And remember, that's twitch.tv/numbers1206. Can I remember?
You'll have to ask him what the significance of those numbers is. Closes up a little bit here on most of it.
I did remember it correctly. So yeah, he's just stepping into that slipstream. Not super dramatic. It's not a 5 mile an hour closing speed difference, but what it is 1.5 miles an hour, maybe half your walking speed kind of thing. You just imagine the gap between the cars and just slowly walking from one to the other. That's how quickly the gap closes.
So speaking of drama, though, Simon Foweather is in the middle of it right now. He is stuck in traffic hell, I gotta say. He's trying to find a way around Lance Cameron. He's got Jared Cubitt ahead of that. He's got Clinton Ford breathing down his neck, who wants to battle with the two guys ahead of him. And he just made some pretty hefty contact with Lance Cameron as they headed into the Patriot course this time by.
So it is a 3-way battle for 22nd, 23rd, and 24th in the final 10 minutes that Simon Foweather finds himself right in the middle of. And I don't know what the racing driver ego is like for these guys, as it's a super close moment between Foweather and Lance Cameron, but I don't want to be the guy who finishes last.
Yeah, and if Lance Cameron is riding in VR, his butt might hurt because he hit that curb and looked like he was going to nearly roll the thing over as he came out of Hogpen. Foweather makes a move up the inside of Cubitt. We'll see if Cubitt gives him an easy time. Well, he doesn't give him an easy time, but Foweather will be able to hold on to it. Meanwhile, the battle rages on behind him.
Yeah, Clinton Ford's got down the inside of the two guys he was battling, so he's nose in front of Cubitt and Lance Cameron. Immediately lining up behind them is Ian Giebler, who's got to be next. And there is contact between 22nd and 23rd. Ford off the track, rejoins. Giebler trying to make it 3 wide. He's got nowhere to go. This is costing him big time. He's around the inside of Lance Cameron, around the outside with a little bit of contact on Jared Cubitt, but he is going to make it work. Crazy battle inside the top 10 meets a crazy battle for the last cars running on the road.
Oh, wow, and that last battle just got solved. Oh, that looks like Jared Cubitt going backwards up the straightaway. I think he got a lot of help there from, I think that was Keith Carlson, who went all 4 off trying to make the overtake. That was something.
Certainly was. Carlson leaping across the curbs from off the track, a bit messy. He didn't want to get caught up in that traffic like the others did, but what he has done is caused a little bit of an incident there, it must be said. Jared Cubitt nursing the biggest damage we've seen on anyone, but he still seems to be going, and still going, so we'll keep an eye on what happens there.
Well, and it's worth explaining, Keith Carlson is in a battle with Ian Giebler. He's in 7th place. He's trying to make up ground, and he wants that spot. Now, that was a pretty optimistic move, but as you mentioned earlier, Keith Carlson has had a pretty good season this year. Consistent finishes. Last time we calculated the points, he was in 4th place with all the drop weeks considered. So this is still significant for him, especially if he wants to retain that top 5 finish on the year.
It's like that at Mid-Ohio with these cars, isn't it? It's just wild start to finish, and the tempers begin to boil over after almost 60 minutes of racing. Cormac still 5 seconds clear of Alex Albert. Love and Soto still battling over the final podium spot.
Yeah, and Love and Soto are going to be coming up on another battle shortly here. They've got Ben Moody and David Palermo just ahead of them, battling for 19th and 20th place. We'll see if these two battles can stay, nice and together while they try to get by, unlike whatever we just saw.
You wouldn't want it to be boring, and it's definitely not.
They're closing up quickly. Bet you they catch them by the time they get out of Hogpen.
Again, that's been the corner that's been the huge point of difference between the top 10 and the rest, really closing up on the brakes, really carrying a lot more speed into the corner for Nick Love. And I think Palermo sees him coming and he rolls out of the throttle a little bit. So Love through
That's
easily.
rude.
Soto through easily. Oh, it is? It is.
Yeah, Palermo hasn't given it up yet, and he looks a little unstable on the way into turn number 1, but we'll see if he also dives out of the way once those two get caught up. Meanwhile, at the front, Alex Albert is making up ground, down to 4.5 seconds behind. But with 5 minutes to go, you got to think that that's a bit of a pipe dream unless Mark McCormick has a significant issue. There's no traffic really ahead of him, even though Alex Albert has been closing down to the tune of nearly 7/10 a lap over the last 4 or 5. Could it be that Mark McCormick is fuel saving a little bit? His stop was was faster than everyone else's. It's the fastest one we saw.
Absolutely could be the case that he's just got to lift it and coast it a little bit, roll it into the corners. This is a car that should respond pretty well to that as well. And I dare you to fault my experience on that kind of thing, Devon. 3rd and 4th with the traffic once again, trying to get past the number 5, David Palermo, and Love is getting none from Palermo. And on the grass, off the track, mind the rejoin, co-ground for Nick Love. He stays out of trouble, but Soto's going to get in front of him.
Sorry, that's not Giebler, that's Soto. And Soto takes advantage of Nick Love having to be a little bit tentative as he watches that car of David Palermo go flying off the track.
Give us a long onboard replay.
Yeah. Yeah, that was Code Brown for sure.
Absolutely. It was. Love did the clever thing, though. He didn't keep his boot in it. He said, I want to survive and I want to see the end of this race. And it cost him all of his apex speed.
Now we're seeing the onboard, and as you see, it was close at the top of Hog Pen. It was just as close on the exit of Hog Pen. Oh boy. And then he lets Josh Soto by, lives to fight another day. And that's the last step on the podium. We'll see what that looks like in a few laps here. Another strong battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th, or 6th, 7th, 8th. We're going to have some tight ones here down at the end. Keith Carlson has taken that spot away from Ian Giebler.
Yeah.
So, and who's that behind them? Oh, Alex Crawford, 18 positions up from the start of the race and looking to make it 19 as he gets up the inside of Ian Giebler here. Dives it, holds it to the inside. Who's going to get the better run? Looks like it's Giebler.
So, didn't die wondering. Alex Crawford had a dive and a bit of an attack at Giebler. Giebler had some good speed up the hill and onto this connecting section. What it did is cost them both a little bit of time to Keith Carlson, and time is of the essence right now. 3 minutes left on the clock. Mark McCormick crosses the line. There will be just 2 more laps of VIR North in this race for these guys to fight over these positions, for Alex Albert to try to catch the race leader. Time is running out. There's sands ticking through that one.
Battle for the podium. Nick Love's on the outside of Josh Soto as they head down into turn number 1. Oh, and Soto locks it up, makes contact with Nick Love. Nick Love has the inside, though, through this next set of corners, and he's got more than enough overlap. I think he's going to take it this time.
These cars have been banging and barging on each other all day, and somehow they stand up to the punishment. Nick Love, that door was painted a bit dented. It's now a little bit actually dented. He is up into 3rd after getting around the outside of turn 1 on Josh Soto.
Foweather just made a heck of a move driving through some traffic there. There is all kinds of stuff unfolding in the middle of the field right now. Bumper cars for the last place on the grid. And Keith Carlson's trying to find his way through, hoping to have a shot at Simon Foweather as this battle for 24th place rages around him.
Keith Carlson's got 3 cars for traffic in front of him. He's got Alex Coffard behind him now, plus 19 positions, who has gotten around Giebler. And then Giebler's still in the pack as well, so past 1 car maybe for Carlson. But Coffard is probably going to follow him through on that one. Oh, he's not going to be able to, and that's going to check up Coffard and halt his progress. So McCormick takes the white flag to start the final lap of the race.
Tank slapper. Oh man, this is hectic at the back of the grid. This is awesome. All four tires off there up ahead. Who's that? David Palermo. He's trying desperately to hold on to 21st place. He does not want to be last, and he won't be, as he sends Alex Crawford all four wheels off. Crawford boot in it, tries to save it. He's not going to save it that way, though. That slope's way far away, and it doesn't matter how much throttle you got.
He's ended up in North Carolina. Have you ever seen anyone further off the track? He's kept his boot in it. He's trying to rejoin. He's Volkswagen Jetta rally crossing it. He's back on the pavement, but unfortunately he's lost out to Shane Cameron, to Ian Giebler, and Keith Carlson. Mark McCormick's on the final lap. That lead evaporated.
Carlson and Giebler are making contact. Sorry, that's Cameron and Giebler making contact in turn number 1. Oh, this is chaos.
Short track racing is it? You've got to get the bumpers out to make some positions, as Shane Cameron and Ian Giebler on the final lap are battling over 7th. Cameron has snuck in front. This could all end in tears. Same's true of Love and Soto, who are so close for 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on those two. Soto's been trying to find a spot to make a move, and he hasn't found it just yet, but he's real close as they head through the Patriot course this time. Closing through this right-hander, all four tires off. I think there's a slowdown there. I might be wrong. And Nick Love has a lot of room into the braking zone, but Josh Soto tight through the roller coaster. Oh my gosh, is he going to be able to make a move here? I'm not sure that it's there.
Yeah, Soto does the mowing. Mark McCormick takes the checkered flag. Another win in the Volkswagen Jetta, just 4 seconds up the road from Alex Albert. And I think Love held on for that podium. Josh Soto fought him all the way. Other battles still coming to the line. You've got Cameron versus Giebler. You've got Thorpe versus Warden. Cameron's going to hold on to 7th against Ian Giebler in 8th. Coffard's amazing run ends up with him in plus 17 positions in 9th, and he throws it off the course again. Is there a bit out there that he hasn't tested? How close are Thorpe and Warden? Warden is not going to be close enough, I don't think.
Oh yeah, those two are real tight all the way through, though. That battle of Warden, Thorpe, and Neil Hancock went on from, I think, the green flag all the way to the end. Really solid, consistent driving from the whole group of them.
Hate the car, love the racing for the Volkswagen Jetta. To time trial this car would probably go against some clause in the Geneva Convention, but to race it, man, the margins are always so fine, and they are short track using the bumpers out there. What a tense race.
We've got our answer. It's not Dave Palermo, it's not Lance Cameron, it's not Benjamin Moody, it's Jared Cubitt, and he's going to be the last one across the line in 24th place as we finish this crazy race.
And all 24 starters seeing the checkered flag as well here at VIR North, despite the best efforts at going for excursions, finding the wall, getting into each other all race long. What a good one, and what a send-off for the Volkswagen Jetta in this year's 2021 ChampCar iRacing Series. Let's look at our finishing results, and they are correct. It's Mark McCormick with the win, Alex Albert for 2nd, and Nick Love scoring another podium that he had to work and sweat 60 minutes for. Josh Soto finishes in 4th, Foweather in 5th, Carlson 6th, Shane Cameron in 7th ahead of Giebler in 8th, Alex Cofford in 9th, and Charles Kowalczyk rounds out the top 10. On the other column, it's Jay Safianek, Neil Hancock, Aaron Thorpe, David Warden, Mark Kruger, Kyle Smith, and Andrew Cosick, Scott Grinnell, Jonathan Patterson, Clinton Ford, the top 20. Clinton Ford with 2 trips through the pit lane. Not sure what that was about, but he still gets 20th. And the other 4 cars, Palermo, Cameron, Lance Cameron, Shane Cameron's dad, Benjamin Moody, and Jared Cubitt in 24th. Lee Mullerman, Gavin Sanders, and Devin Peters didn't take the start of the race.
We got distracted. There was some moose out in the woods.
I bet, bud. Right. Message from Nick Love that he's had to duck off because he's got to take care of some dogs, but we do have our other two podium getters. Well, I'm going to grab Mark McCormick, race winner, pole sitter, and another drive to bring this championship home. You've put in the good performances right as it's mattered.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of time to practice for this one. Kind of freaked myself out on the fuel strategy, like always. When Alex came out further behind me than he went in, I thought maybe I didn't take enough, and I overcompensated like usual. But really happy with the result and the points.
Exactly. Winners are grinners. Fuel situation's always a little unique for this Jetta. You don't start with much fuel. You don't need to refuel much, but it doesn't refuel quickly either. Any thoughts on that strategy, and also tires versus no tires? I'm guessing you went none.
There was time for one side if you wanted to take them, like I dumbly didn't do last week. But when we did VIR South, you didn't need as much fuel. I guess there's a lot more, wide open throttle on this track, and also worth noting that this race went one lap longer than the practice round, and damn near 38 probably if I was faster.
Traffic was also definitely a point of excitement later on in the race. Tough to get around anyone. We always see in the Volkswagen Jetta that the gap from the top of the field to the middle of the field to the bottom of the field is so compressed compared to the other two cars that we race in this championship. And that looked like, for yourself, but also a lot of other drivers in the top 10, that it made the getting around the traffic really, really challenging.
Yeah. There was one time I got stuck behind someone and he was like way offline. I wasn't expecting that, so I lost a couple seconds to Alex near the end. Before that, I had a clean race. I didn't hit anyone until I bumped his bumper, because I really wasn't expecting the speed difference to be that drastic.
Well, Volkswagen Jetta winner, a VIR winner, and just 2 rounds to go. You're banking up some wins. Mark McCormick, congratulations, and anyone you want to thank.
Thank you guys for putting all this on. Thanks to my wife and kids. We actually had to do a little dance to make this work tonight, so hopefully I can make it work for the last 2 rounds.
Well, I guess if you're delivering the results, that makes your case a little stronger.
Yeah, I'll have her talk to you. You'll
All
do
right.
that for me, right?
I'll put it on a David Haynes letterhead, and
there you
will
go.
that do?
Good deal.
Well, we'll see you around next round at Barber, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Appreciate it, guys. See ya.
So our race winner, Mark McCormick. We've also got second place standing by. Grab him by the scruff of the neck, and Alex Albert and Devin Peters can have a chat.
Well, a closing battle there at the end, but in the end, you didn't quite have enough to give it to Mark McCormick. How was that race for you?
Yeah, I mean it's a good finish, I guess, all things considered. Still lost a little bit of points, but damage control. I want to apologize to Simon and Nick Love. We had light contact on lap 9. I took a look inside Simon there in NASCAR, and I thought he knew I was there, and he just kind of shut the door, and we both went off a little bit. And then with Nicholas, a couple laps later, just sent it too hard on the brakes. It kind of wiggled over there towards the center of the track, and he'd already started turning in. We made light contact, but I think both of them were able to continue on and get pretty good finishes.
Yeah, sure enough, third and fifth place for those two. It seemed from the booth like the story of the race wasn't the fuel, wasn't the tires, but it was the lap traffic. Any adventures for you out there?
The lap traffic wasn't too bad. I guess one of the biggest moments of the race for me was the leader backing up the field, letting the pace car go, and then jumping the start. So, that pretty much set him up with a second or so lead there right off the bat. But yeah, I didn't have much trouble with lap traffic. There was one point though where two of them were battling there towards the end into turn 7, and they went side by side as I was catching them and going to try to pass, and so I just took it around the outside of turn 7. Really lost a little time, but no contact, and pulled it off.
2 more rounds to go in the ChampCar iRacing series. Barber in the Miata and Sebring in the street stock. Liking your odds for those ones?
Yeah, I think I'll have a better chance than I had here this week. The Jetta is definitely my least favorite car. It's wrong wheel drive. Glad to get a win earlier this season and be able to, do it for my great friend Doc. I think he helped motivate me that day to be able to get a win. And this, I think, other than that, is the best I've ever ran in the Jetta. Wish I would have had a little bit more practice. Probably could have done a little bit better, but I think Mark was kind of backing it down there at the end of the race. So, we'll move on to Barber in the Miata and try to make the best of it. Try to get as many laps in as possible because be racing there later this year.
Well, great result and in a tight points battle, and it's great to have you out. Anyone you need to thank for today?
I just think the whole ChampCar club, the whole series. Thanks for everyone for participating. We wouldn't be able to have this fun if everyone didn't turn up. So thanks to all the racers that turn out and everyone that tunes in.
Cheers.
Lastly, in a word, you're going to miss this Volkswagen Jetta?
Negative.
That's what I figured. Thanks, Devin. Thanks, Alex. And that is everyone from our podium who wants to come chat with us, it seems, and that's A-OK. You heard it. Next round, Mazda Miata at Barber Motorsports Park. That's going to be fun. You can still join us if you want. Go to forums.champcar.org. All the information is there. How to get into the league, how to get started on iRacing if it's something you want to do. And of course, if you just want to tune in to cheer on your teammate, the series, your friend, whatever it is, we will be live here on Huge Ass YouTube. So subscribe and you will not miss that, and the championship finale and decider at Sebring later on as well. That's all from myself, David Haynes, Devin Peters with me, and Michael Derby on the production. We will see you at Barber Motorsports Park next time out.